When you're out in the woods and your phone dies, or you're on a weekend at the lake and the RV's power suddenly cuts out, you're faced with that uneasy question: do I really need a generator, or is that just another thing to stash in the trunk? I've been there, and I've spent a lot of evenings scrolling through forums, watching videos, and reading the handful of reviews that actually talk about daily life with a portable generator. The main thing I keep hearing from people is, I don't want to carry a brick-sized monster that roars like an airplane, but I also don't want to be left in the dark. That tension is what makes any decision about a small inverter generator feel a little risky. If you're wondering whether the Honda EU2200i is the sweet spot between quiet, portable power and the kind of reliability you need when you're camping, tailgating, or dealing with a brief outage at home, let's break it down together. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the most obvious pain point for anyone considering a portable generator is weight. Most people think you have to sacrifice power for portability, and they're not entirely wrong until you see what Honda's done with the EU2200i. At just under 47 pounds, it's light enough that two people can comfortably carry it into a campsite, but it still delivers 2,200 watts of continuous power. In real life, that translates to being able to run a modest-sized fridge, a couple of lights, a laptop, and even a small TV at the same time. I tested this on a recent weekend trip. The fridge stayed at a steady 37°F, the lights never flickered, and the laptop charged while I streamed a low-resolution video. It wasn't a full home theater setup, but for most campsites or a short power outage, that's exactly the level of coverage you'll need. What sets the EU2200i apart from the sea of cheap Chinese-made inverter generators is its noise output. Many entry-level units kick up a 70 decibel roar that makes it feel like a jet engine in a tent. The Honda, however, hovers around 48 to 53 decibels depending on load. A volume you could comfortably have running while you're cooking breakfast or chatting with your fellow campers. That quiet operation isn't just a nicety, it's a practical advantage when you're in a campground with strict noise rules, or when you're using it in a residential area where your neighbors might call the HOA. The low noise claim isn't a marketing hype for me. If you set it up on a patio, you'll barely hear it over the sound of a conversation, which really helps keep your outdoor experience pleasant. Another feature that caught my eye while digging through product forums is the Bluetooth app integration. Honda's smartphone control app lets you start or stop the generator remotely, monitor battery voltage, and receive alerts if there's a low oil condition. For anyone who's ever been annoyed by having to crawl under a generator to check on it, this is a small but surprisingly useful convenience. Imagine you're already inside a tent, the temperature's dropping fast, and you need to fire up the unit. Pull out your phone, tap start, and the generator kicks in without you ever getting your hands dirty. It's the kind of modern touch that feels unexpectedly premium in a product that's otherwise quite utilitarian. Now, let's talk about the hidden trade-offs. The EU2200i uses gasoline as its fuel source, and while most small generators do the same, the fuel tank is only 0.6 gallons. At a quarter load run time of about 3.5 hours, you'll need to carry spare fuel if you plan on staying longer than a day. That's not a huge issue for a weekend camper, but it does mean you need to be more proactive about monitoring how much fuel you have left. A related point is the cold start feature, which is a nice safety net if you're operating in colder climates, but it still requires the engine to reach operating temperature before delivering full power. In practice, I found that if you try to pull a full 2200-watt load immediately after starting, the generator will taper the output a bit until it warms up. It's something you get used to quickly, but it's worth noting if you need an instant surge for heavy tools. Who should definitely buy this generator? If you're a frequent camper, a weekend RV owner, or someone who lives in an area prone to short, unpredictable outages, the EU2200i checks a lot of boxes. Its quiet operation, sufficient wattage for essential electronics, and the smartphone app make it a solid, low-maintenance companion. It's also a good choice for hobbyists who need a clean sine wave for sensitive equipment. Think cameras, drones, or small medical devices because the inverter design keeps the output steady and safe. On the flip side, If you're looking for a generator to power an entire home during a prolonged outage, or you need to run hydro appliances like